Okay, I had to hit the record button. Welcome to everybody who joined us already. We usually give people time to get a cup of coffee or their lunch and give it a minute before we introduce our guest and get started. Um, Hope everyone's summer is well underway.
It's cooler today, so
Yeah.
that helps
Plus,
for
if you're in the
sure.
Northeast, we had some unseasonably warm weather. So, yeah, I'm glad that's pretty much past us.
Where do we have people joining in from? Is it typically the Northeast, New
It's
Jersey,
all over the country.
all over the country?
We have clients in all 50 states, and
Okay.
so yeah, we'll get some folks from the West Coast, and um, they're
Can
just
everybody chat or pop in
yes, there
questions
will
into the
be.
chat? Okay.
Yeah, we're going to monitor questions. Those of you who have questions, definitely, um, definitely plug them in, um, and we'll monitor them from here. But let's see if we can get started here. Um, One of the biggest questions we get when we're out visiting with current investors and potential investors, people are looking to get into real estate investing is, you know, where do I get funding? How do I get money? How do I get investors to invest in my deals? How do I get started? I only have this much money. It's enough for a down payment. Where do I get the rest? Well, we're going to talk about that. It is one of the biggest issues if you want to expand your portfolio or if you're just getting into the game. And so we've invited Kristen Shaw of 0% Investor here today to talk about that. He's the founder of this company, and this is what he does. He helps get 0% interest business funding. And since starting up his company, he says he's been on a mission to fund and unlock financial freedom for his clients. I see him out on the speaking circuit, and so we thought we'd get him in here and get him exposed to a wider audience than just the places we go back east here. So first, before he gets started, we have a disclosure. We're not providing any advice here. We're custodians and administrators of self-directed IRAs and 401ks. We can't endorse or recommend or promote any kind of investment product. We're not advisors, CPAs, realtors, attorneys. If you need tax, legal, accounting, investment, or other professional advice, do seek it out. And we encourage everyone before they do anything in self-direction or anything like this in investing to go get the expert advice you need to make sure that you do things properly and you protect yourself. And so what I'm going to do here is drop off. Let me stop my share and let Christian on. Christian, welcome. It's good to have
Hey,
you here.
Joe. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
Let me get up my screen here. Okay. I think this is the right browser.
I can see it.
Okay, you can see
Yeah,
it. Okay.
you may want to go into a presentation mode or slide mode.
Presentation.
Yeah, that way everybody gets a nice big.
Can everybody see my screen? I have my chat open on the side here just in case.
I can see it.
Okay, perfect.
I think we're good.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar presentation. Thank you again to Joe and Camel Plan for hosting this webinar with me today. Today, we're going to be learning about how to access $150,000 or more without paying any interest. I'm your speaker for today, Christian Shaw. And usually, I do these webinars with my co-host and business partner, Drexel, but he's with his three baby girls and his wife today. They're dealing with some family stuff, so he's not able to join. But you guys are in good hands. You'll be with me today. So first off, I just wanted to state, do not be like this guy. I was watching Shark Tank the other day, and he was able to secure $1 million from the venture capitalists over at Shark Tank, Lori and Kevin O'Leary. And after he secured the deal, after he got the money, they were trying to get in contact with him, and he was going to Bora Bora, he was going to Cancun and Las Vegas, and they were asking him like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm networking." But honestly, he was just not working. And so I just make that joke just to say, this funding, it's really important to use your money wisely and don't be like this guy. So I just want to start with that. Uh, just want to start off with this as well. This is a client of ours, success story. Allison, she was on this webinar a few months ago as well, and she was just getting started in rental arbitrage in Texas. We help real estate investors all across the United States with unsecured business lines of credit, and I'll get into my background a little bit more. But she was securing her very first property for rental arbitrage, and we were able to help her secure $45,000 in 0% interest. And she came out of law enforcement, a whole career transition, and she was able to get started with her real estate business. All right. So who exactly is this webinar for? This is primarily for real estate investors. Okay. Short-term rental investors, mid-term rental investors. If you do fix and flips, co-hosting and arbitrage is the new trend nowadays. So I want to include this as well. And entrepreneurs of all kinds and small business owners as well. And startups and new investors. So if you're just getting started, like Allison was, you're in the right place. If you're not one of these individuals, I don't really know how you got to this call, but you're definitely not in the right place. So I just wanted to start out with that. And here's my goal for the web class today. Really going over this presentation in the next 30 to 60 minutes. And to show you the only way for you to scale your real estate business is to become your own bank. And I'll get into what that means in a little bit. And the way to become your own bank is through this credit stacking method, which we're about to go over today. First off, just a little bit about me, so you know who's hosting today. My name is Christian again. I got started in the small business lending space back in 2017. I was also a consultant for the Small Business Administration and the New Jersey SBDC. So for the past 7, 8 years now, I've been helping small businesses and real estate entrepreneurs get access to capital to start or scale their portfolios. And over the past 8 years, we've been grateful and lucky enough to help entrepreneurs secure over $20 million in funding. This is our team. We're based in New Brunswick, New Jersey. So if anybody's in the local area, feel free to come by. We have an open door policy. But didn't start out like that. I was a broke college student. I was going to Rutgers Business School to learn about finance and business. And it took me a lot to all I wanted to do was become my own boss and build my own business and serve people and help people. And of course, make a lot of money doing that. And also make my dad proud. That was a big thing for me. So when I was getting out of school, I was lucky enough to get a job with these guys, Jay and Val. They were the owners of Total Merchant Resources, still to this day, and they're a small business lending firm. They specialize in merchant cash advances and as well as some other financial products. And they also got a deal with Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank as well when I just started working with them. So I was working with them and I was learning the ropes of these different financial products, these different financial tools like SBA loans, equipment financing, and of course, unsecured business lines of credit. And over the past 7 years, I started working with all these other alternative lenders like Toro, Kalamata, and Capitus, Rock Financial. And through that, we were able to just learn the ropes of the small business loan industry and learn about these different financial tools. Across that time, I started working with Drexel again. He was working at a big fintech firm in Manhattan, and he was commuting 2 hours every single day. And he was just building his family. And he really wanted to build a business that he could stay at home and be with his family and not have to, be in the corporate rat race. So we decided to partner up, and that's what we did. There was one problem though, and surprise, surprise, there was corporate greed involved in the small business lending world, and we had a mentor and a lender that we really relied on. He was even gracious enough to fly us out to Utah and mentor us and train us. Unfortunately, we had a bad falling out. He felt rather threatened, like we were trying to take his business, and he threatened to sue us. And ultimately, the whole business partnership collapsed. And I say all this to say that the one saving grace, our business was really in a poor spot there, was when we discovered the power of business credit. Now, mind you, we were dealing with all these other financial products, and we had not taken on loans for ourselves. But when we got into that sour space with this person, you know, we had a cash flow deficit, and that's when we really started to study and learn the power of business credit. So once we were able to do that for ourselves, we were like, wow, we can help our clients with the same tool that we used successfully for ourselves. And that's what we started to do. Our mission was to provide this information and consult business owners and real estate investors on how to access business credit. So what's possible today, Drexel gets to work from home, be with his family, which is, I'm sure, a lot of our goals. Everybody on this call is probably in this space to do that, spend more time with their family, build a business that they can be proud of, and really access financial freedom. And I get to do the same. So after 5 years of doing this, we discovered the hard way, how to access business credit in the right way, and not be beholden to these shark lenders and brokers. So if you've been struggling, this is probably why. There's a lot of noise in the space, a lot of different financial tools out there, a lot of financial products, and a lot of brokers saying really, like back and forth things, and it might be pretty confusing. So that's why we put this presentation together for you all. And this is just a screenshot of my bank account. This is Chase. We were able to access $240,000 in credit when we were going through that stage in 2023 when my business almost went bankrupt. And this was the saving grace. So in the next 30 minutes, we're going to show you how to access business credit and utilize this for your real estate deals or your business investments. Okay. So here's a little agenda for today. The 3 secrets of business credit. Secret number 1 is credit stacking. How to legally access hundreds of thousands of dollars in business lines of credit from the banks at 0% interest. Okay. Secret number 2, credit hacking. How to manipulate your credit report to get funding approved every single time you apply. And secret number 3, my personal favorite, my number 1 banking partner, how to secure higher and higher limits by working with this little known banker that's actually accessible at to my understanding at every single bank branch. Okay. So secret number 1, let's jump right into credit stacking. So what is business credit and how exactly does it work? Well, I made this graph to depict all or a few of the different financial products and tools out there that you might be accustomed to. And I broke it down into 5 main categories: speed of access, the cost of the money or the capital that you're getting access to, the impact that it has on your personal credit. Okay, so how does this affect your personal credit? The scalability of using the financial tool, and the ease of access. How easily can you get access to it? And so I ranked all of these different products and tools on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the easiest or the best, and 10 being the hardest, such as merchant cash advance or hard money in terms of cost. So just made this graph to kind of like really just go over it really quickly. And here's just a summary of what this looks like and how I think about these things. Hard money, personal credit cards. I know a lot of my real estate investor friends use their their personal credit cards to start up their business and their real estate investments. And that's typically going to put you in a really hard spot. It's going to put you on a hamster wheel and you might not be able to get out of that. Same thing with merchant cash advance, as well as hard money lenders. To the right side, you can say things that are more conservative, more safer loan tools or financial tools like SBA loans, revenue-based financing, business lines of credit, and of course, business credit cards. Okay. Now, going back to the story, just to call back to the issue that I ran to with my business partner and mentor at the time. He put us in a really bad spot, and I had to seek guidance. And I was part of a mastermind with Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy at the time. I think I paid somewhere north of $20,000 to be there. And I asked them, what should I do about this situation? And what Dan said to me forever changed how I thought about business and life. And he said, if you want to be successful in business and life, you have to be the buyer. Always be the buyer. So what exactly does that mean? A lot of times as investors or new investors or new entrepreneurs, we are basically taking the first opportunity that comes our way or the first deal that a broker shows to us. And, I saw it from the inside out, the manipulation tactics and the sales persuasion tactics that they utilize to basically shove down, high risk and high interest loans that are in their best favor, but might not be in your best favor. And so this is the old way. And so the new paradigm shift that I'm introducing to you all is becoming the buyer. And what that means is really setting yourself up for success, setting up your personal credit profile, as well as your business credit and your LLC structure or your business structure, so that the banks and the lenders want to compete with each other to get your business, right? You want to be sitting in the driver's seat and you want to be the buyer. So you're not beholden to any one lender or any one individual, and you have optionality. So that's the main takeaway here, being the buyer and having options on your side. So it took us 8 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn this through trainings and mentors and just a lot of mistakes along the way. But we were able to learn this. And so here's another testimonial from Mike Wolk. He was just getting out of the military at the time, and he did not even have a LLC structure. He did not have a business set up in his name at all. And so we were able to help him set up the business. And within a couple of weeks, we were able to help him secure $168,000 in unsecured business lines of credit at 0% interest for 12 months. Okay, so he was able to start his Airbnb business. He was able to hire as well. And this was a big deal for Mike because he had 6 children and a wife to take care of. And so he wanted to spend more time with his family. And that allowed him to work on the business as opposed to just working in the business. Okay. So this works for people who are vacation rental property owners like Mike, Airbnb hosts, short-term rental, midterm rental, fix and flippers, small business owners, startup entrepreneurs, and generally all types of businesses. You do have to have an LLC for this to work, but if you don't, then that's not a problem because we can show you just like Mike. Okay. So first step here, if you're taking notes, is to optimize your credit profile. Now we're speaking specifically on the personal credit profile at this stage. Okay. Um, that's really the place that you want to start to create the biggest advantage for you when applying. Okay. So once you do that, you can apply, or I'm sorry, once you do that, so there's two main ways to get business lines of credit, right? There's traditional business lines of credit to the right, which is if your business is doing at least 300,000 a year in revenue, if your business is at least 2 years in age, and yeah, if you're at that point, then you can access traditional lines of credit from banks like Chase and Wells Fargo. If you're not yet at that point, which a lot of new business owners are not, new real estate owners, they're not there yet, you want to start with the left-hand side, which is high limit business credit cards. And this is exactly how we started for ourselves. So the minimum requirements for this is you have to have a FICO score of 680 at least, 680 or higher, I should say. No bankruptcies, no collections, no derogatory remarks on your credit profile, no late payments, ideally. You can remove that, and we'll get into that as well. And you have to have at least 3 established credit lines or credit cards you can think of, with at least a $5,000 limit, ideally $10,000 or more. The banks and the lenders will typically give you a 2 to 3x multiple on your personal credit card limits when it comes to business credit cards. If you're not at this point yet, you can use a credit partner or a cosigner, a business partner or a spouse who's in the business to help cosign for the credit lines as well. So after you're optimized, your profile looks good, then you can start applying to multiple banks if you so choose. You can go to, there's different schools of thought here. We choose to focus on the national banks like Chase, US Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. We also work with Truist, Elon Financial, a couple others as well. And you can go after local credit unions and smaller banks, but this is just the way that we choose to do things and how we operate. Okay. So the next step is to apply. And finally, credit stack. So you can get multiple credit lines at these banks, oftentimes at 0% interest for 9 to 18 months. Okay. So that's secret number one. Now let's dig into a little bit about the credit optimization side, or as we like to call it, the credit hacking side. So how to manipulate or optimize your credit report to get funding approved every single time you apply. And this is important because a lot of times we apply, or at least I applied when I didn't know any better, and I got denials or approved for extremely low limits, and I had no idea why they were doing that. Well, this is how it works. So these are the five main factors impacting your credit score. There's credit age, the credit mix, um, the new credit that you've applied for, credit utilization, and payment history. But for today, we're only going to focus on the second half just because of the time that we have today. We're going to focus on credit utilization as well as payment history. As you can see, this makes up 65% of your credit score. And so to get the biggest bang for your buck, we want to focus on the factors that you can influence to make the biggest impact in your credit optimization. Okay. So step number one is to identify the constraint. If you're below 680 or you're teetering on that line or you're just above that, we always want to identify what the constraint is. So typically it's going to be these factors. It's going to be derogatory remarks like collections, late payments, too many hard inquiries, or something like bankruptcy. Those are derogatory remarks that you want to get off your credit report. It's really impacting negatively your credit standing, and so you can do this through a disputing method. Okay, and then the last part is high utilization. So this is when you have, maxed out your credit cards or you're over 50%. Really anything over 30%, you're gonna want to reduce that, and you can there's some creative strategies you can use to do that. So this is what you used to have to do. You used to have to go to a law firm or a credit repair agency. They would lock you into a long-term contract. You would be left in the dark with, little to no communication for months on end, and you really wouldn't know what's going on. Many people don't realize you can just do yourself these days. And so you can use dispute letters to the three bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, as well as sending dispute letters to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to remove things like collections, hard inquiries, and even bankruptcies as well. Little known, like, there's a stat, it takes 7 to 10 years for bankruptcy to be removed. However, we've seen this happen in our communities where you can actually dispute it with a lot of work, disputing this. So and then with the good late payments, you always want to take the easiest route to get this removed. So with late payments, you want to send a goodwill letter out to the issuer of the payment. So either if it's unpaid, you can send a request to pay for it and have it deleted off your profile. And a lot of times they just want their money, so they'll agree to those terms. And other times, if it's already paid and they're just late, then you can just send them a goodwill letter explaining that, um, you would like this removed, and usually that will work. Usually that'll work. You might have to go to the next step, which is disputing directly to the bureaus, but in a lot of cases, that should do the trick. Okay. The last section here is high utilization, and what we've done in the past is actually use consolidation loans or personal loans, if you want to call it. And so you can get approved for a personal loan in order to pay down your personal credit cards, get it below that utilization of 30%. Ideally, if you can get it under 10%, that's even better. And then you can start to apply for business credit afterwards. So that's a strategy that we've implemented and seen great success from. I remember Brooke, she came to us with a bunch of late payments and a collection on her credit profile. Everything else on her credit profile looked perfect. Great credit score, great on-time payments, as well as utilization was good, but she just had a blemish of a collection. And so we had to remove that by disputing directly to the bureaus and getting that removed off her credit profile. And the next step is really just to wait. Once you make these disputes to the credit bureaus, they're legally required to respond and within 30 days. And then it'll take about 30 days to update your credit profile. Okay. And then once that's removed and your credit profile looks squeaky clean, then you can apply. So that is secret number two, credit hacking, how to manipulate your credit report to get funding approved every single time. And secret number three, which is my favorite secret. This is my number one banking partner. Um, how to secure higher and higher limits by working with little known banker that's accessible at every single bank branch. The old way that people used to do things, a lot of people will ask me, Christian, can't you just do this yourself? And absolutely, yes, you can. The issue here is if you go through the online portals, um, at Wells Fargo or Chase, and you go through the credit applications on there, um, you're gonna get much lower approvals, if at all. Most of the time, you'll just get a straight denial, and you won't get. They'll be very, ambiguous about the reason why. It'll just be an auto decline that probably happens like right after you apply. Probably some of you might have experienced this already. I know I definitely have. So I was talking to a gentleman at a real estate conference, I remember, and he said that he applied with Chase and he got approved, but he got limits of like 5,000, 10,000, and his credit score was great. His credit profile was good, but he was just going through this online portal. So that's really not the best, not the best method of doing things. The better approach is to go in person into the local bank branch, whatever institution that you bank with, whether it's Chase or Wells Fargo or Bank of America, walk into the institution and simply ask for the man or woman behind the curtain. I put this Wizard of Oz picture because there's every bank has this. Okay. So you want to ask for what we call, or what is known in the industry as a relationship manager. Okay. So it's very simple. Visit your local bank, request an RM by speaking to the teller, or you can even make online appointments now on the website. So you can make an appointment with a relationship manager. And then once you sit down with them, you can explain your situation, talk to them about what you're trying to get approved for, and they'll actually, they won't tell you, but they'll strongly advocate. This is what your credit profile should look like. This is how we can get you approved, and they're incentivized to do this as well. They make their commissions by your utilization of the credit that you get approved for. So you want to apply with your relationship manager um, after you go ahead and secure that relationship. Okay. So just to recap, we just went over the three secrets of business credit: credit stacking, how to legally access hundreds of thousands of dollars in business credit lines from the banks at 0% interest; credit hacking, how to manipulate your credit report to get approved for funding every single time you apply; and then our number one banking partner. Okay. I want to stop here. Anybody have any questions? Is anybody feeling
I've,
overwhelmed? I know I've been
I've
told that I talk very fast. So
I've got a couple actually.
please. Oh, is that Joe?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
How do
Hey,
yeah, and well, here James has popped a question, so let's get our audience questions answered
sure.
first. Whenever I try to put a credit card in my business name, it comes out with my name on it, not the company. How can I make it be the company name?
So it's going to be personally guaranteed in your personal name, but it will be you utilize it for your business purposes.
So even though it's tied to you personally, your name is on the card along. I have
Correct.
cards that have my name and my business on it.
Yeah,
The business is the one that's actually the credit's being used on behalf of the business when you use it.
exactly right.
All
Exactly right. But you still have to personally guarantee it. Um, yeah,
right. Okay. All right.
I hope that answers the question.
I hope so too. James, let us know. And
Yeah.
then Sandra, for a 26-year-old that has no credit profile yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, pull a
Yep.
rabbit out of a hat for us here, Christian.
Yeah, this is a tough one. We often deal with this, people who have no credit cards or they're just getting started, or don't even have a credit score. The quick and easy way is to work with a cosigner. So somebody in your business, a business partner, or a spouse to apply on your behalf.
Okay.
And they can cosign for you. Or if you want to take the long and the more effective approach to increase or to get your credit profile set up, you want to work with uh, you can get yourself on as an authorized user on somebody else's account that has good credit history and a good
Mm,
credit age, like your mom, your dad, you know, uh, a very close family member. They can make you an authorized user on their account, and that will bump you up instantly. So those are the two quick ways. Um, the third way is really just the slow way, which is to get a starter card, start a personal credit card, and start building up your credit that way.
Mm. Sandra added a detail that the 26-year-old has an LLC,
Mm,
but it was just formed in January of this year. And Sandra, I've seen this problem when my nephews started their business. It was difficult to get because they hadn't been in business 2 years. They didn't have 2 years worth of financials to show. And I ended up lending the money out of my IRA or out of my 401k. So, that
there you
might be
go.
a source of initial funding that gives you also a track record. They could take that they don't need my money anymore, but they could take that in and say, look, I borrowed money and paid it back. And to somebody who lent it out of an IRA or 401k.
And
Um,
that's great. That's a great question, Joe. I'm actually good question, Sandra, as well. I wanted to also provide this. So we're offering a free credit stacking masterclass for everybody today on the webinar. We just finished putting this together. There's about 6 weeks of content and information all about business credit, um, uh, the differences between business credit and personal credit, how to build your personal credit as well. Um, and we added um, a bunch of different sections as well. So what is business credit? The benefits of business credit. Um, and so let's see what else. Yeah, so we have this course. Let's see. Anna Ohms went through it, a few other people as well. And then we added this as well. If you don't have a business LLC set up, we included this module, the business formation module and LLC setup guide. So once you're in the course module, just click to this if you don't have this set up yet, um, and you can set up your LLC.
okay.
So I made this as well as a few other additions, such as our credit booster GPT. This is what we use internally for credit optimization. So this is just a ChatGPT prompt that you can use to analyze your credit report. You can just pop it in there, and then it'll give you instructions on how to, what are the steps that you need to take, and it'll spit out the dispute letters so that you can boost your credit before as well as after funding. I often get a lot of questions about, won't this impact my credit applying for these business credit cards? And the answer is yes. In the short term, it will. It'll give you a ding for the hard inquiry um, once you get approved. But you can actually do post after you get approved, you can do a credit optimization as well. So we included that in the course, as well as a relationship manager introduction method, dispute letter collections. Let's see what else we got, and all of this. So I'm going to pop this into the chat so you guys can have access to this.
Okay. And we
And
have
it's,
a bunch of other questions too.
oh, yes. And now we
Yeah.
are open for questions. So let me
Okay.
just, yeah.
Yeah. Lisa is asking, you explained how to access the credit, but how is it loaned at 0%? How
Good
does it?
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. So, um, is it possible to pop this into the chat, Joe?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you can drag a document in there and put it in there, but,
Okay. I
and,
think it's
and,
just going to the host and
and if
panelists.
you don't, we can arrange to send it out to
Gotcha.
everybody or to anybody who wants it.
So the question is, how are these banks and lenders loaning out these business credit cards for 0% interest? Well, it's a um it, it's a it's basically the introductory period of 0% that they give these business credit cards out. It's their incentive for getting people on their because these banks make money when people bank with them and use their credit sources, their credit tools. So they're incentivizing you with these 0% incentives, but then after the uh 18-month period or 12-month period ends, then it goes back to the typical interest rates of um, 18 to 22%,
If you
depending
can
on the
get
card.
that, if you can get that these days. But yeah, so there's a short window. And
Yeah.
so how do you, I mean, you borrow the money, you buy property, you're going to have a zero interest um, grace period, so to speak, that may
Right.
last a year. And explain the dynamics. How does that work in a real estate investment setting? You acquire an Airbnb or something, and you start using the revenue to pay back, what you borrowed, obviously. But
Correct.
the deal is you're going to get 1 year at 0%, and then afterwards it's going to kick back in.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah, so the trick is to pay it off, obviously before the 0% interest period ends. However, we did include this as well, a balance transfer guide. So you can extend it by transferring it to other business credit cards when the 0% interest term ends.
Got it.
So this is something you can do. Ideally, you do want to pay it off so you're not caught behind the eight ball. But yes, this is a method that you can approach as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see that play out
Yeah,
sometime with the, get a loan, go ahead and buy it, and just spreadsheet it out and how that happens. How much can you possibly pay back out of revenue in an Airbnb or rental property toward that
right,
balance to get you ahead of that?
right.
If you've paid off 10% of the loan by the end of the first year, you've got a long way to go at 18% if you can find that. Now it's 27%. So
Yeah. The advantage to using business credit is that um all of the payments that you make before that 0% interest period expires goes straight to the balance.
true,
Goes straight to
true.
the principal. So
Straight
you're
to the
not paying
principal.
any interest to that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
this is something that you can um build and grow as your business grows as well. And so I always say this to business owners who are just starting out, if you intend to be in business for the long haul, for years on end, this is something you want to start building for yourself, a pipeline of business credit so that you can have, it's kind of like a home equity line of credit for your business.
Mm.
You can have access to this and be able to move with speed when you find deals that are cash flowing and that are good deals.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a tool. I mean, you got to do your homework. You got to run
Yep.
your numbers, make sure it works for you over the long run or over the period of time it's going to take you to pay back that what you've borrowed.
Yep.
Um, John asks, do you liquidate credit cards, and if so, what's the fee?
I'm glad you asked. So we also included this with all the we've done these a few times, and so we're getting the same questions. So you're asking James, um, I'm sorry, John.
It's John. Yeah.
Yeah, you're asking John in terms of pulling the money out uh, to use for down payments or earnest money deposits, I'm assuming, or paying contractors who don't accept credit cards, etc. So you can do this through a process of liquidation. And so yes, you will have to pay a fee of typically three to 6% when you pull the money out. So you have to take that into account, but it is possible. You can do this. Yeah.
Okay. John, I hope that answers your question. Chris is asking, um, is it easier or harder to engage in RM at a smaller local bank or regional bank or a larger national bank? Where's the soft spot on this?
Yeah, the soft spot. I mean, I would advocate for choosing the bank that you plan on building a long-term relationship with. It's kind of like dating. Like you want to really have a really strong relationship with one. Um, and so we chose Chase just because they're they're gold standard. And so we started with them 6 years ago, and we were able to build a really fruitful relationship with them. Um, yeah,
So
so
shop
that's my
around.
mindset.
Yeah, shop
Yeah.
around. Go visit a few banks and get some people you're comfortable with that are positive and encouraging. Um, Anonymous says, is it? I think the question is, how true is it to add your? How can you add your kids to your credit cards for them to build their credit with yours? And I
Yeah,
think, yeah, you can
you
add
can do
them
that.
to it. Yeah, but I think it reflects on the account holders' credit more than anything else.
Yeah, you can add them as an authorized user. Um,
Can they take that? If a child is added to a parent's credit card, can they take that as part of their credit history, even though you're not going to find in any of the credit reporting services because the account holder is the one that's responsible. but they can take that and say, look, I was added to dad's credit card here
Right.
and I spent, borrowed $10,000 and paid it back, something like that. Is that possible?
So the question is, can you,
You
so if
can
you,
you can add it, but
yeah.
I think what Anonymous wants to do is help them build their credit
Hmm.
history.
Yeah.
And but the credit card they've been added to is really the responsibility of the card holder. And the
Right.
card
Right.
holder
It's
is
not their
going to
primary. It's not their
right.
primary card. Yeah.
But can they? I mean, would that if they were able to take the records there that look, my mom put me on my credit card, I borrowed $20,000 and I paid it all back. Could they take the records associated with that and walk in and have that be part of their
Yeah.
their bona fides, part of their
If,
story?
yes, it's not as beneficial as being a primary
Mm.
user on those cards, but being an authorized user on those cards is better than nothing, than not.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
building, of course, your own prop. So I would say for this gentleman or lady, who, anonymous, to definitely add them as authorized users, and then have them apply for their own primary personal cards,
Yeah.
and just start out and teach them the values of paying it off every single month and not being late and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Another anonymous or same anonymous wants to talk a little bit more about the 0%. Why would a bank do that? I think you might have explained that the banks are trying to get customers for long-term relationships and get them hooked
Correct.
in. Yeah. So that's the reason they would offer 0%.
And
And
there's a host of other benefits and rewards as well. You guys may be familiar with the mailers that they send out or the incentives that they have. Um, so if you guys, travel rewards, spending rewards, cash back, there's a lot of rewards and benefits that go along with the business credit cards, as well as the most important benefit is building your own business credit. Um, so, I started with $10,000 limits on my cards. Now I'm up to 50,000 plus.
all
And
right.
so you like that's the first and foremost, you know, getting the cards, paying them off, building up your business credit, working with the relationship manager, and growing that bigger and bigger as your business grows. And then, yeah, the rewards and incentives are nice along the way as well.
Yeah. And rolling balances over to new cards to take advantage of a starting gun on a new credit card's grace period is something that I'd had experience with decades ago with my business,
Mm,
and it was very useful is that you could roll over you once the grace period was about to come to an end, you sign up for another card that had a grace period and you transfer the balance, and it all looked good from a credit standpoint. Okay, so James asks, so you keep saying business credit, but if all this credit reflects on me personally, in other words, it's a personal loan guarantee,
mm.
how is it? It's personal credit, not business credit. Yeah, could you dive
Good
into that a little
question.
bit because
Yeah.
I'm a little gray on that too.
Good question. So while it is personally guaranteed, so it's basically um, the banks and the lenders in their underwriting process, they're not, you don't have the business revenues as collateral or a piece of property. And so the only thing that they can really leverage is your personal credit to get that approved. So they look at your personal credit history and say, okay, this borrower has good payment history. They have good, um, uh, you know, they have good credit practices in place. Let's approve him for business credit. And so when you get approved for the business credit, you can utilize that to the max and it won't affect your personal credit score. Okay. The only
So
time,
if you
I'm sorry,
go ahead.
Joe, go on.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, the only time that the business credit cards will impact your personal credit score is um, if you're not paying on time, if you get sent to collections on it, like that's the only time. But the utilization that won't be that won't be shown on your personal credit side.
Okay, but if you do default or you stop making payments on it, it's not the LLC that's going to be chased around. It's you personally.
That is true.
All right.
That is correct.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, James. I hope that answers your question on that. And then Sandra came back with another question,
Okay.
and oh, she's just adding some detail for your information. We bought three $40,000 homes after the market crash in 2008 on credit cards. We fixed them up, rented them out, and then poured the rent plus 1,000 of our own funds into the balances. Yeah,
Mm,
that's nice timing.
Yeah, and you were able to use business credit cards for this venture, Sandra?
I don't know. Maybe she'll answer down. There's a good, good long list of questions here.
Okay.
All right. And anonymous says, but you can't get zero from the same bank again in your lifetime, right? So this will only work once per bank. Is that correct?
Some banks have multiple cards. And so we go into the details in the course itself. So you have to be careful which cards will and which cards will not allow you to balance transfer. Um, yeah, we go over that in the course itself.
Okay. Um, and James wants to know, are credit card related cash advances part of this strategy also?
No, they are not. Unfortunately, the cash advances with the business credit cards are um, uh, super high interest, and it doesn't make financial sense to do the cash out, the cash advance method. If you want to bring the cash out, we suggest doing the liquidation method, um, as opposed to you know, the cash advance. The
Okay.
APR is just too high. No.
Okay. All right, James, I hope that answers the question. And then Gail wants to know, do business credit cards ask for a percentage of the amount used as a fee? If so, what has been the lowest that you've seen?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one again?
Do business credit cards ask for a percentage of the amount used as a fee? If so, what has been the lowest you have seen? And I'm guessing, Gail, is that you're saying if you borrow $10,000, there's a fee assessed to the card or to the account. I'm not quite sure how that works. Christian, does that sound familiar?
Um, The only thing I can think that she might be alluding to is the minimum payments that you have to make.
Mm,
So you have to make 1% at least 1% minimum payments towards the balance each month, just like a typical normal credit card.
okay. Gail, I hope that answers. If you want to give us a little bit more detail, we can circle back and take another look at that.
Yeah,
Anonymous says, I don't see how you can get hundreds of thousands. Each bank might give you
20K or
20K,
so.
20K or so. What do
Yeah. So
you?
20,000, I mean, you know, you obviously want to shoot for the highest limits that you can um, with each application. And then you can do multiple or several applications at the same time. So if you need 100, you can probably get two or three cards stacked up to get to that $100,000 mark. But it's
Okay.
all dependent on what you're looking to do, what you need the funding for, um, how quickly you need access to the capital. So I'm hesitant to give, exact advice here because it's all very situational. Um,
So you really have to have something in place. I mean, just
yeah,
if
I mean,
you're
a
buying
business
a
event.
rental property for $300,000 or 500,000, you could go from bank to bank to bank, but and your purpose for opening these accounts is to buy this property. That's disclosed, right?
To the banks or the lenders.
Well, yeah, or it's not.
No, you don't have to disclose it.
Okay.
No.
All right. And yes, anonymous. Yeah, these are introductory offers. They're not long term.
Yeah.
Someone else wants to know, is your business credit score visible anyplace?
On Dun& Bradstreet. Yeah,
No, so if you have a D&B number, it's going to show up there.
correct. Yeah. Joe, and I want to allude to that question that you just asked about do you need to use it for the property investment itself? I get
Mm-hmm.
this question a lot from real estate investors, so I want to touch upon this as well. You can use the business credit for any business expense. Um, so if it's for a property, rehab, furnishing Airbnb, doing the construction, etc. You can use it for any type of business expense, including marketing or um, anything else. So it doesn't
Okay.
just have to be for a specific use case. Yeah.
Okay. So you're not walking in there and saying, "Hey, I'm going around to all of these banks and I'm getting 20,000 here and 50,000 there because I'm buying this house over here."
Yeah, I probably wouldn't. I
You
wouldn't
probably
mention
wouldn't
that.
disclose
Yeah,
it.
I definitely wouldn't mention that.
Wouldn't mention that. Okay.
No. But this is why we also want to include this in the course as well. A lot of people they don't really know where to start with this, what banks to start off with, um, or what have you. So um, we have a custom funding roadmap module if you input your data, where you're at, what you're looking to do, what type of business you're looking to fund, you can hop on a call with me or my business partner, Drexel, or somebody on our team, and we'll walk you through, um, you know, how to do what you need to do, how to optimize your business credit, as well as your personal credit to get approved.
Okay.
So I
All
just
right.
want to include that. Yeah.
Okay. And then Sandra is saying yes. I think we've wrapped up her question about the homes that she did, and
Great.
let's see, I'm
Thanks,
scrolling down
Sandra.
through here, and she also points out that she got them at 0% for 18 months, which is a great introductory offer.
Yeah.
So if you can rack those up, that'd be great. And then Gail was with her situation. She said she was talking about cash advances is what she was thinking of when she talked
Mm,
about the fees.
yeah.
And someone asked, do banks pull your business credit report? I mean, do they go to D&B and Dunn? Do they go look
It depends on what
through
you're trying to get approved for. So if you're looking at traditional business lines of credit, um, then they're going to look at your business credit. They're going to look at your docs, your financial statements. Typically, they'll look at your monthly bank statements as well as your tax returns as well.
it? Okay.
For the high limit business credit cards, all you need is credit report and an established LLC.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. And then I want to go back to something you covered before. In addition to the poor payment history, low credit scores, merchant complaints, and things like bankruptcies, are there
Yeah.
anything that borrowers do to kind of sink their chances by accident or disclosing something they don't need to disclose, or any other ways that they sort of doom themselves? Like,
Um, yeah, I would say not doing the proper prep work before applying. So
mm,
kind of just going in blind. That's you're always gonna get shot, shoot yourself in the foot when it comes to that. So you definitely want to do your homework, look at your credit report, identify, uh, what the necessary qualifications are to get approved at these different banks and lenders, and make sure your profile looks um, qualified,
yeah,
quality application there.
it's like yeah, like applying for a job.
Yeah,
Um, write your resume to the job.
exactly.
And then one final question. I think everybody's contributed great questions, by the way.
Yeah,
Everyone
thank you,
who's sitting
everybody.
in, is that when you do disputes or
Mm,
you goodwill and things like that. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of a he said, she said, your word against theirs. I mean, you can just write to them and they have to take it into account. But what if you really did default on that credit card and you had no good reason to not pay it back? You went on
it's
vacation and you never paid it back, and what are you going to say?
it's definitely a case by case situation. Um, we want to put our best foot forward, but you know, even if it is your fault, if you dispute and you have, you know, yeah, it's a case by case situation. You can still get it removed. There's still um a chance for you to be able to remove
Do you
depending on
guys
the
cover
situation.
that in this? Maybe some templates of how you would phrase things and
There are templates, yeah,
good.
that they can use. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, because I can imagine writing to them and saying it really wasn't my fault. I really didn't do it. The dog ate my homework, and I
Yeah.
promise never to do it again, and that's enough. Okay. So one final question somebody just chimed in is, how do you pay for property with a credit card rather than cash? Do closing companies or would closing allow that?
You can't. You would have to liquidate the cards. You would have to pull the cash out of the cards somehow, some way, somehow.
Mhm.
Um, I've heard of a method with what there's a shoot, I'm blanking on the name of the software or tool, but um yeah, I heard of a tool that you can use to um make a deposit directly with the credit card, but I'm blanking on that right now. We
Yeah,
haven't
it's great.
used that. We just use the liquidation method. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because you can't use borrowed money for a down payment.
Yeah.
So, well, I think that exhausts all the questions. Good stuff, Christian. I've seen you present before, but this was a good chance for me to sit back without distraction and hear it out. So, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing this with us. And I want to thank everybody for the great questions and chiming in. I'd love to see all of that conversation going on during these things. So, everyone, have a great day, and we'll see you here next week. Um, Take care. Thanks again, Christian.
Thank you, everybody. Take care now.